One of the most important keys to success with startup marketing is to avoid perfectionism and take non-financial risks. And I'm going to walk you through a few examples. So I was listening to the CEO of a company that is valued at over 100 million, between 100 million and 200 million dollars. And this company helps a lot of startups, a lot of small business owners. And when the CEO was asked, what do your successful customers have in common? The number one thing he pointed out is that they are not perfectionists. So all too often what happens with independent business owners, startups, CEOs, inventors, founders, is they try to create the perfect product, and sometimes that takes years and years. So for example, book authors will spend maybe 5 years writing the perfect book. They release it into the market and it's just crickets. Nobody buys it. Nobody's interested because there was no market feedback along the way. And I've seen this before at startups too, that spend millions of dollars in product development, 5 years perfecting something, releasing it to market, and then the product fails. This is surprisingly common. I was having a conversation recently with somebody in Armenia who's observed the same thing. I'm seeing it in the US. I'm seeing it in Canada. I'm seeing it with small business owners. I'm seeing it with medium business owners. You need to recognize that perfectionism is not that valued, particularly in the early stages, because in the early stages, you don't really know what's going to be successful. So the payoff of getting something perfect is very, very small because you may be perfecting something in a direction that the market doesn't value. So it's much better in the early stages to try a bunch of things. And there are many different applications of this. So at the very tactical level, this could mean creating 20 different LinkedIn ads. And when you run ads on LinkedIn, it'll automatically, using artificial intelligence, try to optimize to figure out which ad, which campaign is performing the best to get the results that you want. You can do the same thing with Facebook ads. You can do the same thing when you do cold email. If you send cold email through a tool like Lemlist, just create a whole bunch of cold emails, do a bunch of random A/B tests, and just double down on whatever works, whatever grabs. And then tweak your marketing based on actual market feedback. Do not try to get things perfect in the beginning. Now, there are a couple key reasons for this. When you're small, you can afford to be imperfect. You can afford to make a lot of mistakes because you have nothing to lose. You don't have a reputation. You don't have a lot of money. You don't have a lot of assets to lose. There's nothing for you to lose, so you should be taking more risks. Now, as you get larger, as you get more credibility, as you have a reputation that needs protection, that's when you need to be more conservative. That's when you need to be more perfectionistic. That's when you need to start worrying about lawsuits, because that's when companies are going to start poking holes in you, because if they do sue you and are successful, they actually have money to get. But who's going to sue somebody that doesn't have money? Who's going to sue a company that's not already successful? So the time to take risks is in the beginning. And risks, what do I mean? I mean bold marketing. I mean creative marketing. I mean doing things like cold email. I mean doing things like talking to the CEOs of companies that you think won't respond to you. I mean asking for a lot of money when you're not sure if you're going to get it. Try a bunch of stuff. Be agile. Be experimental. Now, the time to be more careful is later on. One thing I want to point out, though, is that the risks you take in the beginning are non-financial risks. Okay, you have more time, you have more agility, you can move quicker, you can be more creative, but you don't have a lot of money. So don't spend $10,000 on a PR blitz. Don't try a TV campaign for $30,000. I'm not talking about risks that require a lot of money. I'm talking about risks that require creativity, boldness, unconventionalness. That's the kind of risk that you should be taking. And I want to call out somebody else here. This is a Stanford business professor, Jeffrey Pfeffer. And one of the things that he points out is this strange psychological anomaly in the work world where employees are surprisingly risk averse. And those that recognize that there's a cost, that there's a price associated with being risk averse, are the ones that can be very successful because they can make bold moves like asking for a lot more money than their peers might, or doing things to get attention, doing that big presentation in a company that's going to give you visibility. Another thing I want to point out is research from Harvard Business School. And there is a professor there that has written a book about the entertainment industry. It's called Blockbusters. And in that book, what she mentions is that there are celebrities who are incredibly successful, and they're in essentially a winner-take-all market, where there's a handful of celebrities in a given entertainment industry, whether it's sports or movies or books or whatever, and they're incredibly successful, even though not all of their products are successful. So there are movie stars that are in very poor movies, but nobody cares, actually. All that they remember is the last blockbuster that those people were in. So the point I'm trying to get away here is that you can take risks, you can have duds, you can have failures, you can have ads that go nowhere, you can do things that people might cringe at, but it doesn't really matter, because the things that people remember, the things that you're going to get noticed for, the things that you're going to get praised for, are the things that people do notice, are the things that do actually become successful. So if people are criticizing what you've done your job, because you've actually gotten a lot of visibility, a lot of brand awareness. So mission accomplished. You can take a lot of risks, you can have a lot of failures, because it doesn't matter, because it's that 1 in 10 that's extremely successful. That's all that matters.